Yeah, Arteta, they're talking about how tough the Premier League is. The temperature's gone up, he said there's ish. And his Arsenal side certainly feeling the heat. Lost to Newcastle, lost in the Champions League, lost Edu as well. What a week for them.
Yeah, and then when you lose the leader at the club, it will have an impact because he's the glue of the club. So he'll bring all the pieces in. I don't think the players will think about it when on the pitch. But once you're out on the pitch, you need to try and recover that form. And there's no better way than to get back out there. There's no hiding place in football. And it's only one way to turn it around, is get back out and try and get a result.
Yeah, that's an interesting move for Edu. But if anyone offers you triple your salary, I think you're taking it.
Yeah, it's interesting talking about Forest at the top of the show, obviously. Yeah. That's the connection there. And I think, you know, it's obviously a big loss for Arsenal, but they've put the right pieces in place, I think, to get the succession planning right, because they'd already brought people in to fill the gaps, and now they continue that process. But I think it means a lot when you've got a former player who also knows the club really well being in that role, and obviously they lose that stability of someone who can also connect with the manager, connect with the players and be able to relate to them. But I think it's critical now for Arsenal just to get back to what they were doing last season. I think pressure feels like it's all got a little bit too much, and creativity and that flair that we saw from so many players last season, Martinelli towards the end of the season, Trossard being so efficient even at the start of this season, Saka, Havertz, who started this season really well. It just seems like it's just disappeared. Their creativity is really poor at the moment. It's such an over-reliance on set pieces, and I think that for Arsenal fans is probably a real concern.
Chalk and cheese without Martin Ødegaard. Let's be honest, that creativity you're talking about, and they would have been completely relieved to see him come on at the end against Inter and hear that he is fit to feature against Chelsea, because they're missing this.
Yeah, they need someone like him. He can see gaps on the pitch. He's got the vision, the awareness. It's been very well documented how much he works on his awareness. And he's a leader in the way he plays. So he might not be the Vieira type going into tackles, but he's always getting on the ball, always looking to play forward. And you know something can happen when he's on the pitch. So he's been a massive miss, and they'll be happy to have him back.
Yeah, and then maybe losing Declan Rice as well. He hasn't trained this week. Kai Havertz, I think, is going to be assessed. Marino, it's the injury problems, which they didn't really have a lot of, or in this kind of volume last season. I think that's also a factor for Arsenal this time around.
Yeah, there's been a lot of instability around the club. The Edu factor obviously is just one element of it, but they had a lot of suspensions as a result of getting sent off in games, and they've had these injuries. They had players arrive who weren't fit yet. So I do think that has kind of rocked them a little bit. And with Ødegaard being the captain, I think your captain not being on the pitch and not being as influential as he can be, I think that has had an impact on the players. And also players having to play out of position because you've got gaps through injury or through suspension. So you'd like to think once Arsenal can get everyone fit again, ready again, and play the way they want to play, it won't be so much of a kind of playing catch-up and trying to plug holes that they have to fill just out of emergency.
Yeah, already 7 points off. Might be too late by then, who knows? But this is the Premier League. If you were in the Chelsea camp and watching that Arsenal performance against Newcastle, would you be thinking, oh, this is the perfect time to face them?
I think so. When teams are losing, confidence goes. So when you're playing a team who's struggling, not as solid as used to be, it gives you that confidence that you can score. You see people now popping up in between defenders, where usually they've been pretty solid at the back. So that will fill them with hope, belief. But saying that, you don't know which Arsenal's going to turn up. They could easily turn up and be rampant as they have been before. So I think it'll be a really exciting game.
Yeah, and especially given the fact that Chelsea have found their form certainly going forward, and where Arsenal are struggling for goals, Chelsea seem to have found them. They have players, not just Cole Palmer, who we know is so sensational, and we'll get to him in a minute. Chelsea have found their way in their forward line.
Yeah, and they'll also see a real weakness in Arsenal this season, because Arsenal have, after last year, they were so known for their defence and their ability to keep clean sheets, and it hasn't quite been the same this season. And they will be able to see a fragility there, and they'll think that when either if it's a set-piece opportunity or from open play, they'll think there's an opportunity there. And the depth, which I think the narrative around Chelsea and their depth and their options has been a negative. But at this point in the season, you look at it and you actually say, wow, the options that they have and the number of players that they can bring on and make a difference. You'd look at Arsenal's bench and say, they don't offer anything like that. And at the moment, every single time a lot of these Chelsea players are playing on the pitch, they're playing to try and get a chance to play again. We saw that in their huge result in Europe midweek. So it'll be interesting to see what happens off the back of that, whether we see some changes of players who have earned a start.
Yeah, and in the match at Old Trafford against Manchester United, because, you know, it is a difficult time. United have changes. All those players are also fighting for their position. Chelsea managed to get a draw. Caicedo, for example, is one of those players who's just looking incredible.
I mean, it's not an easy place to go. They've got a draw. They could have won the game, could have lost the game at the end as well. But it's a difficult one. When there's an interim manager in charge, you know they're going to give him a lift or raise their performance because they know the incoming manager is watching the game. But it's a great finish. That finish there, it's not an easy one to keep your eye on it and keep it on target. But at the end of the day, they would like to have won the game, but they take the point.
Yeah, this is not my question. My producer has asked this 3 times now, so I just want the record to say that this is our producer's question. Is he currently the best midfielder in the Premier League?
Who, Caicedo? Oh, wow, big claim. I think the problem with Caicedo is he will always have the price tag, which will always be talked about. I think we're starting to see the best of what he can do and what he can deliver, and I think that's great. And I think he's not there yet, but maybe come by the end of the season he will be. Yeah,
apparently the best combined tackles and interceptions in the Premier League this season so far.
Yeah. Well,
do you want to tackle that question?
No, I think when you're looking at midfield players, you need to look at 3 things. They score, create goals or stop goals. So if you're doing 2 of the 3, you're usually pretty good. If you're doing all 3, now you're in the top bracket, like Gerrard and people like that before. Yeah. So he's scoring, creating and stopping goals. So you can't be far off being in that top tier.
Okay, well, one player who's definitely in that top tier in the blue of Chelsea at the moment, undoubtedly, is Cole Palmer. I just wonder, what do we know about his fitness? Because I know he didn't feature in midweek, and I know there was some kind of concern. Do we think it's any closer to being resolved? What do you know?
I don't know the specifics. I'll update that. I mean, I think they'll be hoping that he's going to be fit enough for this game. He's obviously such a crucial player for them. His creativity and his threat on the ball is so impressive. And you want those players who are going to just strike fear in defenders and also force the opposition to just focus their attention on, and they'll drift out and be drawn in because they're going to be trying to shut down Cole Palmer, and that will create opportunities and avenues for other players. So I think Chelsea will feel like it's critical he plays.
Yeah, his vision is just unbelievable. Anticipation, the way he can pick out his teammates, isn't it?
He's very, very calm, composed, deceptive, makes good decisions, knows when to play forward, when to play first time, when to take an extra touch. And again, awareness in this goal here, keeper's off his line. He never looks like he's panicking, and the best players always look like they have a lot of time on the ball. He always looks like he's relaxed, and obviously with set pieces, we know what he's like on penalties. He's added free kicks to his game. So he's got the lot, so to speak, and there's probably more to come as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So instrumental in that Chelsea team, and I feel like if you can find a way to keep Cole Palmer a little bit more contained, that's half the battle.
Yeah, and also the fact that he just can play those opportunities from everywhere. He might burn a free kick. He likes to take the penalties as well. You can't get rid of him. That's probably the problem for any team facing him, is it's really hard to shut him down. And he's so ambitious that he can shoot and finish from everywhere, like Zesh said.
Yeah, but then, you know, we're talking about Chelsea and their forward line and how it feels like everything's coming together there. Is there still a vulnerability, a fragility for you about their back line, their defence, Sanchez?
I think so. I think they're going to have to outscore teams in every game because they don't look like they're going to keep too many clean sheets. And it's always a lift for the opposition when you know, even if they score, you can score 1. So if they can just tighten up at the back, not give away soft goals where the body shape's wrong or things they can improve on, cut out the individual errors as well. Most of the time, it's been an individual error that's cost them. Then I think they can become a stronger force than they are right now.
Yeah, I think that's definitely their obvious weak spot. I think Sanchez has struggled so far this season. I think they've had to change the back line because of injuries. They've got a different level of experience in terms of playing the Premier League. Reece James trying to come back from a long time out as well. So I think there's a weird blend of personalities, a weird blend of experience and age because they've got such a big squad now.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to make it work and figure it out. And I think when it comes to higher up the pitch, they've done that. But when it comes to the defence, I think they're still working out what that best back line looks like.
Yeah.
All right, the Premier League is back this weekend, and the Super Sunday game is going to be Chelsea versus Arsenal at Stamford Bridge. Well, Chelsea won their midweek game against Noah, 8 goals to nothing with their second 11. Yeah, they beat him basically nobody that played that game played against Manchester United, started against Manchester United. So you can call it their B team, even though their manager Enzo Maresca, keeps saying that they do not have a B team. They have one squad. But what can you say if you play 11 in the Premier League and then another 11 in the Champions League? You are putting words into people's mouths. And then Arsenal, they went to Inter Milan and lost 0-1 in the Champions League. So this game is gonna be, Inter Milan. Arsenal will want to put things right, while Chelsea will want to keep the consistency going. Of course, in the Premier League, Chelsea drew their last game against Manchester United 1-0. So Arsenal are going to be Arsenal, they lost last weekend. So it's not going to be easy for Chelsea as well, because when you are losing, you are fighting hard to correct the mistakes that you are making. So, but if you look at the current history between the two clubs, Chelsea have not been able to do that much against Arsenal lately. Last season, they drew 2-2 at Stamford Bridge and then lost 5-0 at the Emirates. So that's how bad Chelsea were last season, and the gap between them and Arsenal at the moment. Of course, Arsenal have been stable for a couple of years, but Chelsea are still trying to get there. But the rivalry still remains. Is a London derby, and we expect fireworks in this game. Of course, whenever this game is played, even if it's friendly match, it doesn't look like that. They will bring it. Everybody will bring it. If you look at Arsenal at the moment, they are very good at set pieces and then winning first and second balls. They have a physical side, so they are going to cause Chelsea a lot of problems. Chelsea's one of Chelsea's weaknesses is defending set piece, like concentration, lack of concentration. Defending set piece, be it free kick, be it corner kicks, and then also defending crosses. And these are the things Arsenal are very, very good at. So in terms of matchup, Chelsea have a lot of weaknesses that Arsenal have as strengths, which means Chelsea needs to be spot on to be able to stop Arsenal from scoring goal. Now, that's, if you look at it on paper, Chelsea needs to be spot on in everything they do defensively, defending corners, defending any kind of set piece, and then also winning second balls. And if they can do that and then try and also impose their game on Arsenal and try and create chances, Arsenal have a very good defense, despite the fact that they have not been able to keep a lot of clean sheets this season, but still they have a very, very good defense. And Chelsea could lose Cole Palmer. He is an injured out for the game at the moment. He didn't train day before yesterday. Yesterday they played the Europa Conference League game, and then today I'm not sure that he trained. He posted something on Instagram where he was having recovery section, so at home. So I don't think he trained today, but it's inconclusive. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure about that. But be that as it may, Palmer and Declan Rice are the same. Also, Declan Rice sustained a toe injury and hasn't trained up to today. They didn't train today. But hopefully, if he trains tomorrow without reactions, he will be fit enough to play. The same thing with Palmer. So both of them could play. Both of them could also miss out. And that's much about it. Both teams they have pretty much a solid squad at the moment. Chelsea are very, very good at the moment. In the table, Chelsea are 4th, Arsenal are 5th. And that's after 10 rounds of games. So there is a lot of similarities between those teams. Level on points, Chelsea ahead of Arsenal on goal difference. So tomorrow's game, apart from bragging rights, is going to define who is going to be in top 4 heading into the international break.